In today's Garden Grow, humans are not the only ones that are feeling a little beat down by the seemingly endless winter weather. Outdoor plants and trees also suffering, but they're not all lost causes. Garden expert Derek Thomas from Thomas Landscapes, of course, joins us to help us out. It has been a rough winter for everybody and everything, hasn't it?
Yeah,
any living creature is having a tough time.
The fallout is going to be the spring plants that don't look very springy this year.
Right.
You know, we're gonna see a lot of damage, and we're gonna see just going around and putting an expert eye on a lot of stuff right now. I think it's gonna be like stuff that we haven't seen in the last 15 to 20 years type of damage.
But like we said, not a lost cause, though. There are some things we can do.
Not a lost cause, and we'll break it down by different types of plants. Okay. Deciduous trees. This is a baby ginkgo, and what you want to do with deciduous trees like this is you want to make sure that the buds are still nice and big and viable. And the big thing to do with these guys is be patient this year. They may bloom out later than normal. Some of these, if they're young like that, may die back to the ground, and it may have to shoot up from the ground.
Okay, might take a little extra time.
It may take a little bit of extra time. Things like your coniferous evergreens, which is like this Hinoki cypress, this one's got a little bit of a brown color to it right now. Normally, if you can get into the underside there, it would be a green. Yeah, the brown, don't worry about that. That's just that cold. It's going to be okay. Now, this deciduous, this evergreen here, which is a Japanese holly, the leaves are really crispy and brittle and they just fall apart. Those leaves are not going to come back. But one of the things that you do want to do is leave those leaves on until you see what part of this plant is actually still alive. Okay. When you find pieces of the plant that's not alive, like down in here, this is completely dead, and see it just snapped right off. Go ahead and prune that out. Okay. Okay? Things like boxwoods. Boxwoods are a lot more cold hardy, but once again, all of these tips that you're seeing here that have really started to brown on this one, if you go ahead and prune this, now don't do it right away, wait a couple of weeks to do this, maybe a week, week and a half, once we start getting more normal temperatures. That's going to help this plant get itself.
Half, Derek? I think it's going to happen
you know
about
what?
6 months from now.
I'm hoping. Salt damage. Salt was a big thing this year. And and
what does it do?
Well, salt is corrosive, and not only does it help melt ice, but it also eats into plants. So, like, if you look at the leaves of this heuchera, which you know has gotten some salt damage on it, what you want to keep in mind is the rest of this leaf is going to be producing nutrients for the young shoots that have to come out of there. So don't cut this all away. Leave it be.
Derek, we just have about a minute left, so just real quickly, what else are we looking at here?
The other thing that we're looking at is wind damage. If you look at this one, Stephen, what I want you to do is I want you to take this one and follow my lead. This Nandina has gotten really damaged by wind. What you can do is you want to take all of those dried up leaves off. Okay. And you can pull those off like that. Leave any of the green leaves on. Okay. And then what I like to do is go ahead and cut out the top. Now, I know that seems brutal, but the roots all along these nodes are going to produce new shoots.
You cut the whole top of this off
You cut the whole top off. Just go ahead and cut that whole top out. Yeah, and what that's going to do is it's going to look a little bit like a stick plant for a while, but it's going to absolutely shoot back out. And then things like your laurels.
Derek, I have to ask, what is this? Is this like a palm tree? Are we thinking spring?
That's a cold hardy palm. And we have become spoiled in this area over the last couple of years. Plants like that may or may not make it. I brought in a young one here. This one's definitely toast. It's only cold hardy to about 5 degrees. And what's happened is the center of that's rotted out, gone forever.
Derek, we're going to see a lot of you, I think, because Tucker is saying that it's going to be close to 60, and then it might get cold again, and then it's going to warm up again.
And that's the hard thing on the plants.
Exactly.
That's the hard thing on the plants. The fluctuation in temperatures is what really did a lot of them in this year. Wow. Because 60s one day, polar vortex the next. Tucker, can we send it back?
Seriously, please, send the polar vortex back.
I like that look.
I think so, too. Allison is here. I'm really just trying to think spring here.
I know. I'm just thinking you come over here.
If I could climb a palm tree and plant one in the backyard, I would do it.
I thought you were a fanboy. I see you with it. I thought you were going to come over here and just...
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Derek, for helping us. Great advice.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Steve.